All right, let's talk about Mount Vesuvius, but we're not going to talk about it like a geologist or a tour guide. No, today, we're diving deep and looking at Vesuvius as the philosophical heart of a really complex story, as a kind of metaphysical engine that drives the whole narrative.
So right off the bat, you got to wrap your head around this. The Vesuvius in this story, it's not about lava flows and ash clouds. It's an idea made real. It is the physical embodiment of something called active nihilism. And to get what that means, you have to remember, we're not doing science here. We are deep in the world of metaphysics.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll define what this philosophical volcano actually is. Then we'll look at the two big problems it's meant to solve, the thesis, which is this frantic carnival, and its polar opposite, the antithesis, the creeping null. After that, we'll see how a catalyst comes along to light the fuse, leading to the grand finale, the synthesis, a truly wild violet eruption.
Okay, let's dive into our first section, the philosophical volcano. To really get this, we have to look past the physical mountain, past the rock and dirt, and try to see its underlying truth, what philosophers would call its noumenon.
Now, this term is absolutely crucial for everything we're about to discuss. Think of it like this. The phenomenon is what you see on the surface, the city, the people, the chaotic everyday life. But Vesuvius in this story is the noumenon. It's the raw, deep, fundamental reality churning away underneath it all. It's the truth of the world.
And this is what Vesuvius stands for. See, active nihilism isn't just about saying, oh, nothing matters. It's about saying because nothing inherently matters, we have the total freedom to tear down what's old and broken and to create something new and powerful through a sheer act of will. Vesuvius isn't just mindless destruction. It's a tool for violent, purposeful, creative destruction.
So here's the bottom line. The volcano is the engine that's going to resolve the story's main conflict. It's an engine of synthesis. Its job is to take two opposing, broken ideas, smash them together, and forge a totally new reality from the explosion. So, what are these two broken ideas? Let's take a look.
And that brings us to our thesis, the frantic carnival. This is the first half of our problem. It represents a state of just absolute, unchecked, and totally meaningless chaos.
The city that sits in the shadow of the volcano is described as this crazy, masked carnival. It's all surface level, all phenomenon. There's a ton of energy, yeah, but it's completely hollow and goes nowhere. It's just motion without any meaning, existence without any real purpose. This is the first problem that needs to be solved.
And fighting against all that frantic energy, we have its total opposite, our antithesis, the creeping null. If the city is the problem of chaos, this is the problem of absolute, grinding stagnation.
What's so cool here are the metaphors they use. You have this idea of a glass coffin, a sacred blood clot that just refuses to liquefy, symbolizing a world completely frozen in time. Then there's this weird Atman null mist that rolls in, creating this field of total apathy and paralysis. This is the complete death of will, the end of all motion, the perfect opposite of the city's pointless energy.
So this is it. This is the core conflict, laid bare. On one side, you've got the thesis, a city just burning itself out with chaotic, pointless energy. And on the other, the antithesis, this creeping, spiritual death where nothing moves at all. Both are dead ends. The world is trapped between a pointless frenzy and a total deep freeze. Something has to give.
So how do you break a stalemate like that? Well, you need a catalyst. You need an agent of change. And that brings us to our guy, Donar, the Heaven Stormer.
Donar's whole job here is to basically turn the key in the ignition. He climbs Vesuvius to change it from this sleeping giant, this dormant threat, into a focused, active tool of the will. He's the thermal catalyst, the one who's going to jumpstart this whole cosmic process.
So how does he actually do it? Well, it's a very specific, almost ritualistic process. He stands right at the crater's edge and starts striking the stone with his hammer, Mjolnir. But here's the most important part. He syncs up his hammer strikes with the frantic, chaotic heartbeat of the carnival city down below. He is literally connecting the deep reality of the volcano to the surface-level reality of the city, getting ready to jumpstart what the lore calls the Enoch Faustian fire.
And the goal of this fire is incredibly precise. It's not just about burning things. The heat is meant to force that stagnant blood clot, that symbolic blood of the world, to remember its true nature, to remember its will to power, and to finally flow again. It's all about shattering that metaphysical paralysis.
And this all leads us to the climax, the resolution of this whole cosmic struggle, the synthesis, an eruption that is purely metaphysical and violent.
So Donner has primed the engine. He's got it revving and ready to go. But what's the final trigger? Who gives the order to unleash this immense, world-changing power?
Well, the signal comes from this figure called Dervilla, also known as the Red Architect, who is literally the personification of the will itself. And in one final, hugely symbolic act, this character draws a line in the volcanic ash with a tool called the dialectic scythe. That single gesture is the command. That's what sets the synthesis in motion.
And what comes out of that volcano? It's not lava, it's not rock, it's not even ash. It's a pure, concentrated blast of violet gamma radiation. This is not a natural disaster. It's an idea exploding into reality.
This violet energy is explicitly called the signature of the will to power. It's the raw, unfiltered energy of overcoming obstacles. And the lore even connects it back to these huge concepts, like the mythological figure Wotan and the philosophical idea of the Übermensch or the Overman.
And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. This heat of the idea, as it's called, accomplishes two very specific things at the exact same time. One, it defeats stagnation. It melts that blood clot and shatters the glass coffin. Two, it defeats apathy. It completely burns away that awful null mist. Just like that, the synthesis has solved the problems of both the thesis and the antithesis. And this right here is the ultimate point. The violent, painful eruption was actually necessary. It proves the story's core belief. For existence to be authentic, to be real, it can't just be stagnant, and it can't be mindlessly chaotic either. It has to have tension. It has to flow. And yes, it has to suffer. That's what makes it real.
So we're left with this final thought. This story argues that stagnation is just another form of death, and that real life requires struggle, it requires flow. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? If all of that is true, then what is the actual cost of a world without conflict? What is the price of total, absolute peace? Something to think about.